What's up, Scout Army? This is FuegoSteve bringing you another edition of NBA Today. Um, as usual, joined by JaguarLou. What's up, Lou? How you doing today?
I'm good, Fuego. I had a real sweat last night. One lineup in the $4 clutch. It was a hedge lineup actually on the $7 qualifier lineup I did. And it was just simple. It was getting off the overexposure to Oladipo and getting on Ellington, which was the DBPs that I liked. Except a lot of people were on Dion Waiters. So my lineup, if you see my Twitter, I was in second for a very long time. And then once those 10 o'clock games started, I started to drop a little bit. But yeah, the DVPs were on point. Me and you had a lot of great plays yesterday. DeAndre Jordan, Gary Harris. We talked about a lot of good plays.
Yeah, Ibaka got 41. We said Thad Young, 53. Jordan hit 55. More on DeRozan than you were. He went for 50. Harris went for 52. Kind of like Chris Paul, 58, and the value play on Orlando, Hazonia and Simmons both got close to 40. Hazonia went a little higher at 42 at only $3,700, so he was a great play there. We nailed DeAndre Jordan for sure. We were on that Toronto game for sure.
Vucevic was so crazy high exposure. I mean high ownership. I really don't understand why more people weren't on DeAndre Jordan. It really blew my mind.
Yeah, it's about 25% for Vuk and 8% or so for Jordan, if I remember correctly. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and it was pretty obvious.
the low field goal percentages against centers.
Yeah. But tonight we got a small, short slate, 5 games right up my alley. Although I might only just roll one lineup and try to get the best possible scenario going and roll that one lineup. We don't have. Let me take a look just to confirm. We have a few high price guys. I'm not sure if any of them are necessary to win the GPP tonight, but we will see as we talk here. Starting off the point guard, we have no, and this is what I last night, which kind of screwed me. I had one good point guard in my lineup and then one bad, and one good and one bad, and it just like, Paul George was the biggest mistake last night that hurt us. We were right about 80%, I would say, and George hurt us. But yeah, so last night I'm trying to figure out point guard tonight, and it's kind of sketchy. We don't have anyone over 8,000 on FanDuel. Everyone's 77 and under. The two high priced at 77, or if you want to call them high priced. Dennis Schroeder and Spencer Dinwiddie, and you got Lonzo Ball at 7'5", you get 6'5", Reggie Jackson, who I'm always a sucker for, at 5'7", JJ Barea at 5'5". I like Barea and Jackson personally at 5'5" and 5'7". I could even dip down to Yogi Ferrell at 4'7" with Dennis Smith Jr. out. But I mean, everyone I just listed are the ones that are in for play, and that's it. Those are the only ones that are in play for me tonight. Who are you looking at to play at point guard?
All right. Well, I think you're right on about the Dallas situation. That game's going to be so screwed up. And there's a couple plays I think you're going to need in your lineups tonight. And on such a small slate, you're going to have to find some value. And not really find. I mean, it's pretty obvious where it is. It's just a matter of getting those plays correct. So personally, for the point guard position, I like Yogi Ferrell or Pharrell. He's been starting over the last 2. He's at 32 and 35 minutes, and over the last 4, and it's 3 out of his last 4. It really dictates the matchup, I guess, in terms of what kind of point guard they want. But in his last,
I got a question
games,
for you. Is this one of those nights where you could put Barea and Ferrell in your lineup?
No, but I would invest in some secondary, third, fourth lineups and rotate out Yogi Ferrell for JJ Barea and do that. I would not roster both of them, but one of these Dallas point guards should go off. It's a very interesting situation because Durant and Klay Thompson are actually in poor matchups. Wesley Matthews and they have 2 very talented actually. Wesley Matthews should be seeing Klay Thompson, and Harrison Barnes is a big guy that could give Kevin Durant somewhat of a problem. So, my value is actually coming on the big man end of the spectrum tonight, and I'm going with Caspian Bell, I think. But in terms of
so then which point guards you roster?
well, that's why I'm saying because I think Golden State. I think it's a horrible game. I think that Dallas will shoot low percentage. Golden State will maybe shoot low percentage if Durant and Thompson aren't on. But I'm going Yogi Ferrell to start. The DVPs for Golden State are very poor lately. But in terms of the Dallas situation as a whole, I have no problem switching out Barea and Ferrell. I even have Wesley Matthews in one of my lineups. This is going to be a 10:30 game that's going to dictate the slate. Other than that, I'm more on Dennis Schroeder than I am Reggie Jackson. For one main reason. Avery Bradley's a shutdown defender. Not so much recently, but he is. So against Kent Bazemore, I don't like that matchup for Bazemore. So conversely, it leaves one point guard or one guard left that gets the most time in Atlanta. And he's going up against one of the smallest point guards in the league. Dennis Schroeder should be able to take advantage of Reggie Jackson, while Avery Bradley should be busy keeping control of Kent Bazemore. I also like Reggie Bullock tonight, Bollock, whatever. And I'll talk to you guys about that in a bit for absolute punt value on DraftKings. But
so you like Schroeder over Dinwiddie at the same price?
Well, I was going to say, so my favorite plays, just to be clear, value is the Dallas position. Schroeder is my next favorite play, and I like Dinwiddie against a New York. I'm sorry about that. I got a quick call real quick. I like Schroeder. I like Dinwiddie against a New York team that's letting up a lot of points to defenses.
Right.
Then yeah. I'm sorry. Somebody, let me.
No problem. Yeah, so I think I'm not going to pay up for both Schroeder and Dinwiddie. I think I'm going to go Dinwiddie and Farrell, Dinwiddie and Barea, Schroeder and Jackson, something like that. That's how I'm going to attack it, I think, right now. So it allow us to get either LeBron or Durant in our lineups.
Well, the thing is with my roster construction, I like the Dallas Schroeder thing better. Not because I don't like Dinwiddie. I think there's other value to be had in this Nets game. So it's like you're going to find yourself wanting to roster Dinwiddie. And yes, he has a good matchup. But I think the Schroeder Dallas plays is a better value play, considering I do like LeBron James and I do like Drummond and I do like Love. So you're going to have to pay up for some guys. And the power forward position only has one guy to pay for. So when you get in your lineup construction, I love Dinwiddie, I love Jackson, I love Schroeder, I love the Dallas point guards. But you have to, for max lineups, figure out, or not max lineups, but
Farrell's going to be highly owned. Just FYI.
Yeah, Farrell will be highly owned. So, like for example, like Deion Waiters was highly owned last night. I had exposure to Ellington, so it never hurts to have exposure to the guy behind, which is Barea. I like Barea at a lower ownership. This point guard situation is literally dictated by the matchups. So, I do like it. It's just in terms of like multiple lineups, you can invest in two, the same lineup, but just double entry and just switch out Barea and whatever his name.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it really is a good spot.
Right. Moving over to shooting guard. We don't have any high price here. We have Klay Thompson leads the bunch at 7'6", then it drops all the way to Wiggins at 6'5", LeVert 6, and then everyone else is under 6,000. That's probably the range I will target, this $5,000 range with guys like Bazemore, maybe versus Detroit, KCP versus Cleveland, of course, good matchup. Probably stay away from Hield and Clarkson, but Dwayne Wade, who's questionable, he's one of the few injuries we're waiting on. Watch that. And then you mentioned Wesley Matthews going against Golden State. I don't mind Avery Bradley going against Atlanta. And you could go punt all the way down with Bogdanovich. That's as far as I would go at 4-3. But this is one of the deeper positions tonight, actually, again. So I think there's lots of places you could go. Are you going to pay up for Thompson or Wiggins, or are you going to pay down?
If If anything, I pay up for Thompson. I don't think I pay up for Wiggins. It is a weird position for sure tonight. Currently in my main lineup, my best lineup I've made, I have Matthews and Thompson. This is the position that you're gonna just honestly, if you're max entering, you're gonna want to rotate out a couple of these guys. Wes Matthews, I do like though. I'm playing Thompson because it's just locked in right now, and that's what I had left. But I like the value of Wes Matthews better than Clay. Like I said, Clay and Wes are a perfect matchup, and and Wesley Matthews does grab rebounds. He does score. Clay is a good two-way defender or two-way player, but he is going to be overexposed on the offensive end tonight. So he's not going to be able to do what he normally is able to do with Steph Curry in the game on the defensive end. So, and there's no negative correlation with playing Wesley Matthews with a Dallas point guard. So I like the Wesley Matthews play. And if you lock in Wesley Matthews with a Dallas point guard, I don't like Clay in that situation. But I have him in right now, but you can just mess around with these shooting guards. A lot of them are viable. When I get to the point of like small forward and center, I just feel like you have to pay up for Drummond and LeBron. I don't know if you know this, but a Make-A-Wish kid, a terminally ill kid, it was very sad to see, but it was on Bleacher Report. He asked LeBron today to dunk on Lonzo. And it's online. It's pretty awesome, but LeBron could go, not just because of that, I'm saying, but LeBron has a good matchup today, and if you don't play LeBron, you could play Durant, and you could go against the guy guarding LeBron and go with Love at center. So it's a big correlation day, and when I say the guy guarding LeBron, I mean who's going to face him most of the game. So I think it'll be Brandon Ingram. Although Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a good defender, he's in a good spot today too, especially if Brandon Ingram takes most of the time against LeBron. So there's a lot of correlation plays today.
Yeah, I like KCP. He might be my favorite at 5,900.
Yeah, but like that's why the hedge lineups come into effect because I apologize. Somebody keeps calling me and I can't text them to say stop because I'm on the podcast. The Brandon Ingram Caldwell Pope thing is very good. I would just see, this is the kind of night where a late lock would really help the professionals and being able to know that Golden State game.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, I think you can go all kinds of different places here. There's no one here. The only one that even close to 30 points is Klay Thompson. So if you really want to lock in that 30 and you can fit him with the rest of your lineup, sure, go Klay. But I think all these guys are projected 20 to 27, so I think you can do a mix and match. I like KCP because of the bad DVP versus Cleveland. I like Wes Matthews too at 5'1" for sure. Over at small forward, you have LeBron and Kevin Durant. Which one, if either, do we have to roster tonight?
Look, Kevin Durant has a bad matchup as well. That's what's interesting about this Dallas game. And what's funny about all of this is this could be a really low field goal percentage game for Dirk. So that could benefit Maxi Kleber or Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, Dirk's game logs are horrible, but the way I said it last night, how everybody would be on Vooch, you have to remember bad field goal percentage results in big centers doing well. So that's why I like Drummond tonight. But in a weird way, I like Dirk too at the power forward position just because I think Golden State will miss a whole bunch of shots. But Dirk doesn't end up in the game enough. So I'm more of like a Maxi Kleber kind of guy. Tonight, but there is value at the power forward position. So, there's and this whole night this slate dictates you have to play multiple lineups. I know you're playing one, but it's like the kind of slate where if you can afford to play 10, it's so much more beneficial to have different angles on a slate like this. It's all court, like everything works out if you just think about.
So it's James over Durant. Long story short.
Well, yeah. I mean, Harrison Barnes is a good defender, and even if Durant does start doing well, they can move Wes Matthews over there, and he could really guard Durant. So, look, Durant's a great player, and he has overexposure. But look, I like Cleveland better. Who's going to guard LeBron James on LA? Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah, It's just like I see the Cleveland game staying closer. If you happen to have the spread in front of you, you could tell me. But despite Golden State being a much better team, like I'm having
They're
exposure to
both around
Cassidy.
10. One's 10.5, one's 9.5. So they're
So the
both around
question is
10.
really, let's say,
But the higher over unders in the Cleveland game.
yeah, but what I'm looking at is the most obvious thing is like, all right, values in Golden State. So you play Bell and Caspi if you want, and even Livingston, like if you really get ambitious, to fully fade Durant and Thompson, or play I think Caspi and Bell. What I'm saying has to be a lock in my lineups right now. And considering that, you find yourself when you make lineups with Caspi and Bell off Durant and on LeBron. So
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to go Caspi and Bell, but probably one or the other. Probably Bell, even though he'll probably be more popular. He is. I just don't know if I can go Caspi and Bell. I like. I'm probably going to skip over Jimmy Butler at 9.5 tonight, but I don't mind Brandon Ingram at 6.9. Harrison Barnes 6.6 going on the other side against Durant. I don't mind. Courtney Lee again in play at 5.3. I don't know about Taurean Prince versus Detroit or Damari Carroll. Might debating those two. And then you got Iguodala at 4.7, who I always talk about. He's not going to get you 30, but he could get you that 20 points. And 22 is pretty much what he's going to do for you. Barnes, you going to play Barnes tonight versus Durant or Ingram versus James?
Cash lineups, no, but for a GPP play, Reggie Bullock started last night. He doesn't get crazy minutes, but in this starting position, he could be the Detroit guy that goes off just because the Hawks are very bad against the small forward position. And he is the small forward by all means. So just to be clear, the Hawks are the
You think you didn't get enough usage to go off, though?
No, it'd be more of a DraftKings if you want to go stars and scrubs on DraftKings, which could definitely be the lineup tonight. Like this is definitely a stars and scrubs night on DraftKings. I'm gonna say that. Like just because Bell and Caspi are playing and all of Detroit, all of Golden State's not playing, so having exposure to Detroit could actually be beneficial. I'm sorry, not Detroit. Having exposure to Dallas could be beneficial because Golden State's so torn. But what I will say is, let me just take a look at this real quick. I think that maybe Wiggins is more of a viable play. I know it's a shooting guard play. But there are a couple plays tonight, and I just can't say this enough. This is the night if you have extra money lying around, use the money on nights like tonight to do 10 lineups. It doesn't make sense to do one lineup tonight. I know you're doing one Fuego, but this is the perfect correlation day.
We'll have to rethink my strategy. Moving over to power forward, we have Porzingis at 10.2. Sounds like if you're paying for LeBron, you're not paying for Kristaps, but he's in a good spot against Brooklyn. He's the only power forward that's expensive. Drop down to Zach Randolph against Minnesota, Hollis Jefferson, Tobias Harris. Give me a second to think on the Tobias Harris whisper if it's going to be a Harris night. I'm going to say yes versus Atlanta. It is a Harris night. And then our guy, Taj Gibson at 5.8. His price is creeping up a little. Who are you going to pay for? Are you paying for Porzingis, your boy?
I think Porzingis is somewhat of a must play, but his price is super high. So you got to watch out. In my personal lineup construction this morning, I always tell you guys this. I don't solidify any decisions until lock. And just to make everyone clear, it's a 7:30 lock tonight. And I believe 2 of the 3 games are at 7:30. So 2 of the 5 games start at 7:30, and the rest are at 8, or 2 are at 8, and 1 is at 10:30. So you're going to have your time to get your injuries tonight. So that's the first thing I want to say. Don't lock anything in, but in my personal lineup for power forward, I have Bell and Nowitzki. Simply because I was on Bell, and with my perfect lineup, I was left with a perfect amount, $4,500 on FanDuel for Nowitzki. Now, you're going to look at him and say, Louis, you're nuts. But the minutes are consistent over the past 4 with the injuries. Wesley Matthews and Harrison Barnes are going to have a lot on their hands. And Golden State's going to have a horrible field goal percentage. So, taking all that into account, and when you look at his minutes over his last 4 games, he's a viable GPP play at 4,500. His minutes, look, his points are horrible. 11, 22, 22, 26, and those are the games that he had the big minutes. But the rebounds weren't there, and the points, vary. So I'm not saying Dirk Nowitzki's a great play by any means. I am just saying he has the opportunity tonight to do well. Now, conversely, not conversely, but Maxi Kleber, or whatever his freaking name is. Where did this guy come from? He really came out of nowhere.
Right.
But he gets the minutes when Dirk doesn't, and he even gets the minutes. He gets generally the most minutes in terms of a big guy on the team. He has a ceiling currently I see at 37 points over his last month, 37.5, and he got that against the Boston team that struggles against the center as well, or big men. Golden State doesn't necessarily struggle against big men, but take a look at that projected lineup today. They have Jordan, who's even taller, Bell or Caspi, but those guys are running. I think Bell's going to be the center. But if you don't like Nowitzki, Maxi Kleber is 200 less. I think one of those guys will hit value. I don't think necessarily you're looking at 50, 60-point games from these guys, but this is the 10:30 game, and you have the highest scoring team in the league that has major injuries. Understanding the game situation for Dallas Golden State is probably the number one thing you're going to want to figure out today, and how this game is going to play out tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned Jordan Bell. He's 4-3. He's going to be chalk tonight, no doubt. It's probably good chalk. I'll probably play him and then pair him with someone else. If I go like say a Gibson and Jordan Bell, and I'm not going Porzingis, I'll spend up. I'll get LeBron. I'll get Drummond in, and maybe some higher end point guards. But Randall and Nance always in play for me for LA. It's just picking the right one. You mentioned Nowitzki. He's not a bad play. I think I'm going to skip over Kuzma and Ilyasova tonight. John Collins is back, 5'9", interesting GPP play, and Tobias Harris at 6'7". At center, we have Karl Anthony Towns at 10-1, Drummond at 9-4. I like Drummond better. Just the price savings and the recent – though, I mean, Towns has been playing well. Towns has been playing well. He put up 61 the other day, 50, 55. So he's got 3 straight over 50. So I can't fault you for going Towns. But I just like the way Drummond's been playing, though his game logs recently, his last 3, are not nearly as good as Towns' last 3. And then you have Kevin Love at 7-9. It probably is a night you can roster him, no problem, versus LA. And then Enes Kanter, and then it starts to drop off. It's the weakest position tonight. I may not go below any of those 4. Just like last night, I had 3 in mind, and we were pretty. I was pretty right on. What's his name? My 3 centers last night, Vuk, who only let us down because of the high ownership. Really, he still had a decent game. Jordan, who we were both on, and I was on Adams, who had a decent game as well. So I mean, Towns, Drummond, Love. Who do you like tonight?
I am all on Drummond. Half for the same reason that I liked we liked DeAndre Jordan last night. I think that Drummond will be seeing a matchup that is very favorable in his favor, at least. Tyler Kavanaugh, and that's. And I guess John Collins is a game time decision. Dedmon's already out. So DeAndre Drummond should have a favorable matchup against a team that will have a horrible field goal percentage. And I like having exposure to Dennis Schroeder and Andre Drummond. I think that you get a lot of the overall points the game. If Schroeder makes a shot, he'll take majority of the shots, and then if he misses it, you'll get a rebound on the other end from DeAndre Jordan. So I do like. I'm sorry, I always say DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond. So I do like Andre Drummond. Other than that, I would go down to Love if you decide not to play LeBron. He is also in a good matchup, and then Enes Kanter. The lowest I would go is Enes Kanter. Ennis Cantor is in a great matchup as well. If you don't want to play Porzingis, play Cantor. I mean, Cantor is a great center. He has high upside, more minutes now that he's on the Knicks, and he's facing Tyler Zeller. I just think that you have to make decisions tonight. Obviously, I love Porzingis, but you can't play everyone. You can't put LeBron and Durant, and so Cantor is one of these guys that, yeah, I do like Andre Drummond, but Cantor has a better matchup, and for the price, I might have to go down to him, considering I do like LeBron James. And just to be clear, I like Kevin Durant as well. I don't want to tell people I don't like Durant and Thompson. I will have exposure there, but if you don't have exposure to Durant and Thompson, it's a very correlation night. I keep saying that. But if you don't play one guy, it's pretty obvious to play the other in another lineup. So these lineups make very sense. Very much, they're very logical in construction, but you have to realize what players not to play against each other. So right now, I'm on Caspian Bell. If I get off them, yeah, I'm going to play Durant and Thompson. Somebody has to score for this game. And I do think it's closer than the spread entails. And like I said, it's the 10:30 game. So I think your decisions are all based around lineup construction tonight, not necessarily who you like. There's guys that could potentially go off for any team. It's just who do you prefer to pay up for? And when I think about it, I love Drummond. I think he's a very safe play. But, when you take a risk and go down to Cantor, it saves you a lot of money. Drummond's 94 and Cantor's 67. I think they have not the same upside. Well, look, I think they have similar upsides. Andre Drummond has had 2 horrible games in a row. And, like I said, you have to pay down somewhere. And the Brooklyn Nets are a team.
Would you go down to Brook Lopez at 43?
I might, yeah. Like I even would. I mean, Tyler Zeller. This is such a crazy. Allen too. I forgot about him. Jared Allen. He's available. Yeah, but I can't go to Jared Allen. He is very talented. I've seen him play. It's pretty cool. It's like watching a 1960s or 70s basketball game because he's got that crazy afro. But yeah, I watched him play. He is good, but this bottom range and also don't forget, if you do play Cantor, you can hedge Cantor with exposure to Willie Hernan-Gomez, or O'Quinn. Gomez hasn't played in 4 games, so O'Quinn would be the guy. But look at that news because Cantor is definitely. I keep saying this, but it's such a correlation. Like you could play a lineup with Cantor, and then conversely, you can play it with Tyler Zeller. If you don't like that, there's a lot of ways that the stats that you prioritize the most tonight literally dictate how you make your lineup.
Yeah, I think.
Would you go down to Willie Cauley-Stein? I'm looking at him. He played 30 minutes off the bench in Tuesday's return. 29 minutes to be exact. But
Right.
what do you think about him? I mean, they might
maybe I don't know. I'm leaning towards the higher end.
I'm
I'd
not
have
gonna
to.
lie. Minnesota's a team I typically stay away from. If you ever look at my lineups, I always get emails from FanDuel and they tell me my overall exposure for the year, and I rarely am right about Minnesota, and I rarely even roster them, but I'm rarely right about them as well. I don't really roster them often because all their guys are high priced, and so you guys should always know that I don't like Minnesota players necessarily this year. Do you like some of these guys on Minnesota? I'm sure, because this is the easy matchup. I mean, it's Sacramento with one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't mind Towns. I don't think I'm going Butler. I think just the way the roster constructions, I'm not going to Minnesota tonight. They have 106 implied team total, not as high as Golden State, Cleveland. It's kind of right in the middle.
It's just like last year, I would have targeted Sacramento with a Minnesota lineup for sure. It's just I look for value, and that's how I start my lineups. If you start your lineups, other people do this, but I don't like to, just because if I can first find 4 or 5 guys that are low priced or minimum priced or even middle priced, and I can get 30, 40 points out of them, that's how I start.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
the way I started that today is with Schroeder and Dallas's point guard situation. But and that allows me to pay up for Drummond. And like I said, the center position is different from every other position in the sense that you can only roster one person on FanDuel. So on DraftKings, you could have the center that goes off. If you don't have Andre Drummond tonight and he goes for 70 points, you can't win. It's impossible. I mean, it doesn't matter who you have at the top of your lineup. The center is the only position that's one position on FanDuel, you know?
Yeah, and I think he has that ability against Atlanta tonight. All right, that's going to do it for today's NBA Today. Today is December 14th, and we want you to go ahead and do as I always say, get that money. All right, for JaguarLou, I'm FuegoSteve. We out of here. Peace.